Do you read me?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Hacho. Do you read me? Over.
Hacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower, Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Hacho, permission granted. Say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. GITSUM. OHRAH.
GITSUM. OHRAH. What's going on, people? Another week has gone by, so Baby Friday is upon us, or Friday's Eve, as I also like to call it. Yep, so we got an awesome show, but before we get all started on all that good stuff, this show is brought to you by Castle Global Services. You can find them at castleglobalservices.acnibo.com. And they got an array of products, from residential products, from Wi-Fi, mobile, internet, cable, security systems, automation, all the way to commercial, from merchant services. In other words, you got credit card, you want to put that service in, be able to take in credit cards payments. You can go on there and they'll take care of you. And also you can put security systems as well. So, and this month is, I keep saying it, it's enrollment period. So if you don't have medical or medical insurance or medical care, they have a great product called Impact. So go on there. It's very affordable. You can pretty much put medical care for your family in under less than $500. And you can see pretty much anybody you want. There's no network, no partners, none of that crazy stuff. So check them out. Again, castleglobalservices.acnibo.com. All right. Also, hey, I just want to say that we are also now on Instagram. My daughter, who's been on the show, she's been pretty much harping on me, jumping on my back, doing some calisthenics and all that good stuff. And she said, you need to have freaking Instagram account, because everybody else, get with the times. So we're on there right now. So you go on, I put that post not too long ago. Go ahead and check us out. There it is right there on the screen. So that is good shit right there. And also, happy birthday to the field op. Yeah, baby. That's right. This is show number 52. So, and a year ago, this is when the show came on board. So, holy shit, I made it. Brian, our show director, has been on our show as well. He said that, hey, after, usually average is 13 episodes, and mostly everybody just kind of like fizzles out. So I went through the gauntlet and we freaking made it. So, but, with that being said, let's go ahead and kick on the show. Today's guest, she's a motivator. She's outstanding. OHRAH, GITSUM, First Lieutenant Brooke Bottensek. Let's bring her on deck. Let's welcome her, everybody. Yut.
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on, sister? Man,
not much.
Not
much.
I think that's the first time I've said that shit myself.
Yeah.
How you been, devil?
Oh, it's good. I just got back from leave, so I'm kind of getting settled back into the day-to-day grind I've got going on here, but my schedule's pretty laid back, so it hasn't been too difficult.
No, I bet. And where were you on leave at?
Oh, I went to Hawaii, so got out of San Diego for a little bit. Went to Oahu, went all over. It was awesome.
Nice. Did you eat some malasadas from Leonard's?
No, we drove past it. Everyone else on the island had it. I just ate a lot of like musubi and chicken and rice and acai, all the good stuff.
Yeah. No, that's the first thing. Before we get started, because we got a lot of shit to talk about. But so I was watching, the food channel, and this he's an actor. One of my favorite shit. I can't think of his name right now, but he was in the movie Only the Strong. The guy's a martial artist, not a good shit, but he has he's like, hey, if you're ever in Hawaii, because he's from Hawaii, he's like, hey, if you're ever in Hawaii, you gotta go to Leonard's at Portuguese Donuts.
Yeah, everyone in town walks around with the pink little boxes.
Oh, dude,
the line's like wrapped around the building.
We bought, so this one I was still, with Pilar's mom and us. We all went on a family trip over there, and we went there. We bought 2 boxes of a dozen each. That box, there was only 6 left by the time we made it back to the hotel. Fucking delicious.
Oh, I
Highly
bet.
recommend. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely want to go back. So.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Thanks so much for being on our show. So I get, everybody knows that you're obviously you're a lieutenant, you're in the Marine Corps,
Mhm.
but yeah, let the listeners and the viewers know who you with.
Yeah, so I am an aviation supply officer. I'm stationed in San Diego, California. So my job right now, billet I'm in, I work with a program office with the Navy. So I'm a Marine Corps liaison for the Navy and the Marine Corps. Um, it's an aviation supply officer billet, but what I do is kind of advise and work with all of the aviation units with like working on programs for ordering and requisitioning parts, as well as like aviation maintenance. So I don't know if you've ever heard of UMA or NTCSS, but I do a lot of like IT kind of logistics sort of thing right now. So yeah.
No, unfortunately, well, I guess not unfortunate, but when I helped implement GCSS, Global
Yeah.
Command, Global Combat Service Support. I think that's what GCSS.
So that, but aviation.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Okay.
Same thing. Similar.
Oh, yeah. Which, by the way, GCSS is a great tool. It always works. There's no lag time. It's
Oh
super
yeah, never.
fast.
It's great. It's
Not
nice.
shit.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. So I'm somewhat familiar because when we, as I was getting, pulling myself out of the Marine Corps, I think that came in inception around 2010, 2011, and
Mhm.
towards 2014, I was pretty much,
But
gone and
yeah.
retired. That's great, man. So I guess what made you join the Marine? The Marine, like, hey, you know what? I'm in college. I'm having a great time. I'm gonna join the Corps and freaking get yelled at and shit.
Yeah, so actually, I'd always wanted to join the Marine Corps, like, believe it or not. I have a picture of me when I was like 5 with a uniform, Marine Corps name tapes with my last name on it. Like, don't know why I had that at that age, but always something I wanted to do was just like serve. No one in my immediate family was in the Marine Corps, but got like 3 uncles who are in the Marine Corps. My mom grew up on a Navy base in Pensacola, so it's kind of exposed to the whole military culture um, from an early age. But in high school, played sports, did all that fun stuff. Was gonna enlist, and mom was like, "Well, if you don't join the military, we're not paying for you to go to college." So I was like, "Perfect, that's already what I want to do." But then I got a scholarship to play soccer, so I was like, well, if I don't go to school, don't know where I'm going to go. So I ended up going to college. Went to a small school in North Texas, was playing soccer. No kidding, the first month on campus, I'm walking through the student center. There's a master sergeant, guy in dress blues, and I'm like, the Marines. Oh, maybe I'll go talk to him. I go up to him. Like 3 weeks later, I was at MEPS, contracted, like going into the Marine Corps, but as an officer. So I commissioned through the PLC program, which is
I
platoon.
love. That was
Yeah,
my number
awesome,
one as a
awesome.
recruiter. That was my number one seller. I became the freaking PLC king. I used to preach that
It's a
shit,
great
man.
program.
Yeah.
So as a freshman, especially because you get time in service,
Yeah.
which if you're in college for 4 years, that's 4 years time in service. And the longer you stay in the Marine Corps, more money, that sort of thing. So I applied, accepted into the program. I went to OCS after my freshman year. So I was like barely 18 years old. I was the youngest one in my platoon. Went through the 6 weeks, went back to school for 2 years. Went to the seniors, which is the second 6 weeks, and then graduated, commissioned 2 weeks later, and then I was on active duty doing recruiting for about 3 months before I went to TBS. So, I was one of the first people that I graduated with to have jobs. All my other friends were like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just hanging out all summer. Meanwhile, like I'm working in the recruiting office, waiting to go to TBS. Yeah. So something I've always wanted to do. That just kind of like worked out for me because like going into college, I really didn't know anything about like officer programs other than like ROTC. And that's just not something I could swing because I was playing soccer. So, honestly, the PLC program was awesome, and it like allowed me to go to school, play soccer, and then make a little extra money getting yelled at OCS in the summertime.
No, and like I said, the PLC program, when I learned about that, I was like, holy shit, how come we're
It's
not preaching
awesome.
this? Dude, I became, so my RI, not my RI, our office OIC,
Hmm.
who, I've been in the Marine Corps longer than the guy had, but the guy, when he came to recruiting, that dude, Parks, that was his last name,
Hmm.
he ended up retiring as a first sergeant. But this cat, I mean, when he taught me that, dude, I started practicing. But basically, the PLC, you get to have the cake and eat it. And at the end of the 4 years, you can just say, "No, thanks,
Yeah.
thanks for letting me play. I don't want my commission." But when you were in LCS, you were getting paid as a sergeant. If you're
E5.
in the
Yep.
flight program, in one of your school breaks, on one of those summers, you get your private your PIP, your private pilot's license and stuff. So you get all that shit, and they throw all that money at you, and then you have the option. Nah, I'm out. I don't want it.
Yeah. Like, not only do you get like time and service, paid at OCS, they offer like financial assistance, tuition assistance, which is like extra cash in your pocket.
Yeah.
And the only obligation I think is like, if you serve, it's like 6 months, and if you don't, you just pay it back. And it's really not that much, but it helps. It's just like awesome. Like, it was a great program.
What I
and I
used
got
to
to
do
be a
is
normal college student.
what I used to do is I used to piggyback like my reserves. Hey, look, just be enlisted, join, because I would, you would, it would help on the, for us, the recruiter, excuse me, it would help us on our side, but it also helped the OSO out because, we get a reservist, and then then it would be easier for them to get into, be on the PLC program because it was less
Hmm.
competition because now they were on, they were already enlisted.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, hey, look, you don't want to join, you don't want to be an officer. That's fine. Just finish out the remainder of your, reservist contract after, and then because you already did 4 years in college anyways, and that stuff still counts. So it's like,
Absolutely.
bro, why not? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
no, I think it's like one of the best programs for commissioning, because a lot of like other branches, like, you have to, if you don't do ROTC or go to one of the academies, you graduate, you have to apply. So, but in that time period of applying, it could be a year, it could be 2 years.
Yeah.
You have to support yourself. You have to have a full-time job. But like, luckily I was exposed to this program as soon as I went to college, and I knew what I was doing the day I graduated. So it
So
was
what was your
awesome.
first duty? So what was your first duty station after?
Oh, so after TBS, I was stationed in Yuma, Arizona.
Oh
So I
God,
was,
I'm so
yeah,
sorry. I mean, well, you know
yeah,
what? Maybe that's a little better than fucking
29
29
Palms.
Palms.
Yeah,
Jesus
I've only been
Christ.
out there once, but I think living in Yuma might be a little bit better.
Oh yeah, it definitely. I mean, you're talking Ritz Carlton and freaking Cabrini Green and the fucking
Yeah.
projects, Candyman
Yeah.
and shit.
Yeah, like, so I was out there from 2019 until this past summer. So I just PCS'd out to San Diego. But while I was there, I was at Mouse 13 as an aviation supply officer, so second lieutenant. I did everything from accounting to running a warehouse. I did legacy aircraft, so mainly it was all fixed wing. So we didn't have F-18s. We had, I mean, I'm drawing a blank. What kind of aircraft did we have? Oh man, I can't even think. But it was all fixed wing. And then I transitioned to F-35. So I did F-35 supply chain, warehousing for them. And then I got to deploy with the F-35 squadron. So I attached to them. And we actually were a part of the first ever joint foreign vessel deployment for F-35. So typically, like, when an aviation supply officer goes on a deployment, you're on the MEU. I'm attached to the ship.
Yeah.
I'm part of ship's company. I work for the Navy SEPO. But here, I was attached to fighter squadron, and we, as its entire squadron, deployed to the HMS Queen Elizabeth. So that was like super cool. British aircraft carrier. And yeah, we sailed around the world, did did some fun stuff. Yeah, it was a great time.
How was that? Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh
You know,
man,
I'm
so
surprised that you didn't come out like, you know, talking a bit British.
oh yeah, I know. At the end of
Say,
it,
hey mate,
I
how
was
about
saying
another
cheers
pint?
and mate, and yeah, I
Cheers,
picked up
mate.
some. Yeah, I picked up some lingo, that's for sure. But
Going to the pub and fuck up some Yanks.
they definitely made fun of our accents.
Oh, I bet. You
And
know,
then
the
when they
funny thing is, it's like, how come everybody that's British, when they sing, they fucking sound
it's
American?
yeah, it's
You know, and how come when
American.
we sing, we should sound British, like, like, hey, mate, fuck yeah, get some around, yeah. I don't know. I just made
Yeah,
up that song,
that's
by the way.
funny.
It should be good.
Yeah, so my experience is like vastly different than any other MEU or carrier deployment on a
I
US
bet.
Navy ship. So for us, the mission was a little bit different. But the biggest difference was so their ship is not built necessarily around like functionality and like mission and that sort of thing. It's more built around, I guess, like
Tea and crumpets.
yeah, well, like standard of living. So
Right.
you're like, as a junior officer, I had a two-man room. Our enlisted
Wow.
Marines, our lance corporals and stuff, 8-man rooms, and they're like the biggest berthing was 8-man rooms. So these guys have, there's 4 racks on each side. It's all carpeted. They have a TV, like living the best life. Um, there's 2 bars on the ship. So unlike on a US
Nice.
Navy ship where you only get like alcohol, I think it's every 120 days while you're at sea or you're underway. I have a beer at the end of the workday, kind of wind down, that sort of thing. So a little bit different. There's like 4 or 5 gyms. Like it's phenomenal. It was a good time for sure.
Yeah, I think, and you know what, not to discredit the Corps, because I mean we've come a long way. Even when I first came in, I mean, shit. I mean, we used to go to other bases, and it was just, man. I think that's why a lot of hate and discontent comes from the Marine Corps or
Oh,
from
absolutely.
Marines towards other service members, because you go to another base and you're like, what the fuck?
You're like, this is so much nicer. Yeah, every
It's
time
like,
you go to Air Force
why?
Base.
It's like, oh.
Yeah, every time I go to Air Force Base or, if I'm traveling and go on base somewhere, I'm like, wow, like I should have joined the Air Force or I should have done this. But then I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, you know what? We do. I will say this, yes. While we do hate on them, and you're like, damn, why don't we have this? But we're proud of,
Oh,
you know what?
absolutely.
Fuck yeah, you know what? We just lived in a tent outside. It was like 20 minus 20 outside, bitch. You guys are saying, but we love that. As miserable as we are, and as much trash as we
We
talk,
definitely take pride in it for sure.
we love. Yeah, we just eat that shit up, man. I don't know.
Mhm.
Again, we're a different breed,
It's
and that's
totally different.
yeah. No, I agree 100%. What was the craziest shit you did? I mean, or saw, or whatever, on your
Um,
deployment,
Craziest thing.
or coolest thing, whichever. Take your
I
pick.
think obviously like going around the world is definitely like a once in a lifetime like opportunity and never left the country. So me getting to see all these cool places, although it was during COVID, didn't get the full experience in some places
Yeah.
because of restrictions. They wouldn't let us in the country, that sort of thing. But from like a work perspective, I think it was just cool seeing how like the ball was like completely in my court. I supported that squadron with a detachment of 25 Marines in total. I had 5 ashore and 20 on the ship with me, and we were attached to the squadron. So I think kind of being like it was like a one-man show. Obviously, I had support from several other people, but like like I made the decisions. I like if they needed something, like I figured out a way to get a part to wherever we were. You got to think that like I'm on a British carrier. We don't have all the typical Navy infrastructure that's in place and the support from a logistics perspective
Right.
to support me. It's easy to get RASs or replenishments or vert reps when you're working with the Navy. But since it was a foreign military, I had to make calls, I had to make connections with all these people. And I think that was like the coolest part was like, I learned and I was exposed to so much that I otherwise would have been like, I had no idea about. So that was like super cool. On the flip side, on the more like work hard, play hard side, I would say just going into country, taking off uniform and just like having a great time, like decompressing, getting on your phone, drinking, like hanging out with the Marines. Like that was probably one of the best parts.
No, that's great. That, you got to have all those different experiences. And, as a logistician myself, because I mean, that's what I did in the Marine Corps, and I mean this because you're much, for a younger person, you are much younger than I am, but for a younger person to have that experience, I mean, and being able to just, not having the infrastructure, like you mentioned, having a Navy and being able to tap, or even, the access to the U.S. government's other sites, because you could use, the GCSS, which is Global Combat Support System, which is, it's across the all armed services now, from what, last time I heard, that you can tap into, I have an NSN or a case code or, part number that I can resource that part and get it, to where I need it. Now you have to go out, you're basically nowhere. You have to use different infrastructure and create ties, networks yourself. Dude, the experience that you got out of that, I mean, it just brought you next as a logistician. Whenever you decide to transition out, hell, I mean, you're going to be a force to be reckoned with, when it comes to that stuff. And loggy jobs, I mean, there's a ton of them because I deal with that. Through the government contract that I work for.
It was really interesting. I definitely had like some support on the home front just because we were a deployed squadron and that sort of thing. But it was like third-party logistics that I was working with for the most part. I like made myself known. My guys on the ground, like they built connections. Well, they were ashore. Well, we were at sea, receiving parts. They were anything that had to be done, we figured it out. And like my Marines and my staff and CO, like don't know how they did it, but we got it done. And sometimes I wonder, I'm like, Gunny, like, how'd you do that? And he's like, don't worry about it, ma'am. I'm like, okay. Man. So,
no, I was the same way. Cool. As a sergeant, I was like, hey, sir, just don't ask where we got it. Don't worry. You're not going to jail. We just promise you that shit. And I was like, even as an officer too, I was like, just keep me out of jail. I don't care. I don't care about the labor. Just show me the baby.
Sometimes this, like, when an aircraft would need a part that's like downing it, and we wouldn't have it on the ship. We couldn't get it quick enough. And, the maintenance officer would be like, hey, like, I need this sort of thing. Like, what can you do? And I'm like, I'll figure it out. And then, a day later, 2 days later, whatever, I show up with the part. And they're like, how'd you do that? And I'm like, don't worry about it. Got it done. That's all that matters. That jet's going in the air.
Just leave a case of beer right by my door.
I know, right? It's funny. Everyone kind of shits on, supply and logistics, that sort of thing, box kickers. But at the end of the day, like the maintainers and the logisticians, like really, they keep things going and they make stuff happen.
Right.
Ops drives logistics, and it's crazy. And I don't think I would say, like, I don't think a lot of those Marines, at the end of the day, it's the junior Marines that are doing all the dirty work, but I don't think they get enough recognition. Like, I don't.
No, I think that, and let me tell you, I went to TLC, TLC Tactical Logistics course, through the Marine Corps, and then I went to the Combat Mule Logistics, something like that.
CLB?
The MEF course it's like maritime, logistics. I forgot the name of it. But, one thing that I learned, and I get it, the whole romantic thing, the grunts, if you're a freaking pogue, pogue meaning people other than grunts, which is bullshit because, if you read history, and one of the things I learned is that Alexander the Great, his log train was 40 miles long, and I forgot how many miles wide. I mean, they had everything from farmers, gardeners, farriers, blacksmiths, all kinds of shit, because he knew, and they set up that infrastructure. They would have, the forward parties, setting up those lines. So by the time he got to whatever area, boom, the shipment and the supplies were already there. Because he knew that, without having a good, a log train and that logistics set, already set up, that infrastructure, you weren't going to do shit. And that's what basically that did him in towards the end, because his supply net failed. He was spread too thin.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, and it was the same thing for us. Like, because we didn't have the resources to get replenishments as frequently as we probably needed, before we even deployed, I had to build like a pack-up of all of these things that have NSNs that weren't aviation parts. I was like, okay, for 6 months, maybe 4 months, we're going to bring this much stuff. And it was all like estimates. We brought it with us. Halfway through, we got a replenishment. I had it sent to Guam, so it met us there. And it's just like, it's always like forward and backwards planning. And a lot of people don't see that. They're like, oh, we got the part. They don't think about what
Where's my shit, man?
Yeah. They don't think about what it takes to get there, and all of the background, like, strings being pulled. It's like a puppeteer, but I love it. My best friend, he's a logistician, so he and I, we were one of the few non-fighter pilots, so all the groundos, we kind of stuck together. But I know he definitely appreciated a lot of the work that went on behind the scenes, and same for him. Like, he did so many movements for cargo personnel that a lot of people just don't think about.
Yeah, exactly. I think because we all get caught up on our own little world. Where's my shit? Where's my part? Man,
I got to get this jet up.
Yeah, the Suppo ain't doing shit. It's like, dude, meanwhile, you just don't know the drug deals that we're making. It's like, hey, let me do this. Let me hook you up with this. But if you can expedite that part, or you calling, you're calling the manufacturer to release this part, and you're like, because it's a Myco 3. I still remember the talk. It's a Myco 3 deadlining part and all that shit. And it's like, we need it yesterday. It's like, dude, let me eat some metal and shit you out apart, bro.
Yeah. Let me just go pull it out of. Yeah, it's in my sea bag.
I have that right here. Hang on, It's like,
can you get this part to us yesterday? I'm like, yeah, of course I can.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, we always find a way. Yeah, like, it's gonna get done no matter what. And I think that's just kind of like the mindset of most Marines. Like, you might not have all of the resources and tools at your disposal, and it may not be easy, but you're going to freaking figure it out, because, if you buy into the mission, which our unit, I was surprised. We had like a lot of cohesion. It was like super high morale. Everyone bought in, and everyone was willing to do whatever it took to ensure the unit was successful, especially on the deployment. So that was super cool.
No, and you're right. It's all driven by the leadership and the command and the type of climate and environment that they they harvest and promote. Obviously, because it's like what I do. I do for a living. I do safety, and I have all the and I'm not saying I'm the shit, but I'm just saying I have all the accolades, all the courses. Stop it, but if management doesn't support the program and the things that you're trying to accomplish, when you're doing their policy, then you have nothing. And same thing, if the leadership doesn't promote a good environment where Marines or service members can grow, can bring up issues, or the whole team effort, everybody, hey, we all get. And at the end of the day, we do less with more, but it's all about mission accomplishment and doing the right thing. And also, and everybody work hard, play hard. In the end, then everybody's like, fuck yeah, you know, they're motivated. They want to do more because they know that, hey, you know, in the end, the units got me and they take care of me and they believe that, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I thought it was like super interesting from my perspective. So typically as supply officer, aviation supply in general, we work in a separate squadron, a support squadron, essentially, that supports, if you're on a base, the MAL supports all the flying squadrons. So to be attached to a squadron, I think it's almost rewarding in a sense that all of these eye-level maintenance guys and supply Marines, they kind of get to see the fruits of their labor. You know, they're not in a warehouse down the flight line. They're on the ship with with all the guys working on the jets. They know if they don't get this part, like that jet's not going to fly. So I think they're a little bit more proactive or, you know, willing to like make stuff happen. Whereas like when you're separated from like a normal flying squadron, you don't really get to see that. You hear jets in the sky, but you don't really care as much, you know. So it's kind of cool to be attached and kind of like live in the squadron life, because it is very different, you know. They have all their, you know, call signs and different stuff like that make it more fun, you know.
Yeah. Did you have a call sign?
I realized once I said that this is where it's going. Yeah, I do.
Thanks. That's like volleyball, like the bump set, and here comes the spike.
Oh no, yeah, I set myself up for that. So I do. It's Rabbi, but it's spelled RH. So Romeo Hotel Alpha Bravo Echo. What's Y? EYE.
Yankee.
So it's Yankee Echo. So it's Rabbi, but it stands for right hook, airball, black eye. Long story short, I won't give too many details, but one of the foreign pilots, we were joking around. He took one of our patches, and you know, it's kind of being disrespectful, and so the guys were like, "Oh, Brooke's got it," you know, whatever. And we were on ground fighting, having a good time. So we tried to ground fight this 6'3" man. Mind you, I'm 5'8", so a little bit of a height difference. We fall to the ground. I get a black eye. Immediately swells up. I'm like, okay, whatever, we're done. So I go and sit down, and everyone's like, "What happened to your eye?" And I'm like, "What? Like, what's going on?" It's like swelling. I was like, "Oh, he punched me," because I thought I got hit. So I get up, they're all like, eye for an eye. I go over, you know, try and hit him, and luckily he ducked. And so I ended up throwing an air ball of a right hook. Turns out he's on the UK national boxing team, so I was gonna lose no matter what. Yeah.
Stick and move.
Yeah. So at first, I think they had initially named me Hook, with their right hook. But then I got renamed to Rabbi.
That's
so,
a cool name though, but it's got a cool story though.
Yeah, so I'm walking around on the ship with this massive black eye, and everyone's asking, "Oh, like what happened?" You know, Marines are starting rumors saying I fought all the Royal Marines like one-on-one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. Actually, I just fell on a couch. And my eye was swollen shut. 2 days later, we had squadron photos.
Sergeant Major,
Sergeant Major goes, "Hey, ma'am, you're on the front row." So I'm the front row of squadron photo with a black eye covering half my face.
I love that Sergeant Major. Yeah, that's good
he
shit,
got
though.
me. He got me.
You raw, ma'am.
And so that picture, you know, goes out to all the families in their, you know, little news article. My mom's like, "Is that you? What happened to your face?" And I was like, "Oh, don't worry about it.
It's not here or here, but right around
I was like, it's just Marines doing Marine things. That's all, you know."
That's awesome.
So yeah.
That's a good story.
It's fun.
It's a great story to wrap it up on. But can I? So hey, 15 seconds of fame. You know, what do you want to promote? Do you have any social media that you want people to say? You know, if any other lady, you know, young ladies want to, you know, use you as an example, and somebody look up to in regards to your Marine Corps career, where can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm mostly active on Instagram. My handle is just Brooke Bottensek. So first name, last name. But yeah, I've actually had several people reach out to me before, especially from like a female perspective, being an officer and being in that leadership role.
Yeah.
So always happy to talk about the Marine Corps or commissioning and that sort of thing.
That's awesome. Brooke, can we bring you back onto the show? Talk a little bit more shit next time. Some more, maybe have some of the sea stories. I'll give you a little bit of time.
I got several more sea stories. Don't worry.
Nice. Well, thanks so much. First of all, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you do, keeping us all still safe. You know, you guarding that wall up there. And hey, we're glad to have you and honored for you to be on our show. So thanks so much. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It was a good time.
Hey, thank you. OHRAH, Semper Fi. Yeah. Well, everybody, hey, that was it for our show today. Great guest. So really, I think that was a really great story, and just what an example. So if you want to reach out and ask, have questions about the Marine Corps and the PLC program, by all means, you have somebody right there that went through it. I used to promote that program myself. Hey, look, listen, if you've been struggling, before we get out of here, if you've been struggling with anything, ruminating thoughts, just, depression, anxiety, all the shit that, that sometimes the world dishes at you, reach out to myself, reach out to a friend, or just, you can contact TRICARE, Military One Source, the VA, but just reach out. Hell, give me the chance of at least being your last phone call and see if we can figure it out, because everything does have a solution. Because at the end of the day, we don't want you to, take drastic measures and not be here and end up committing suicide. I mean, as much as I love PT myself, I don't want to do 22 push-ups or some ice bug dumbass challenge. I want you to stay here. So, but you matter. That's the bottom line. So happy birthday to the show. Thank you so much to PJ for what she's done for the show and the support. And I just want to say aishitamasu daisuki to Motomi-san. And with that being said, hey, I'll see you later. OHRAH, GITSUM. We're going to end this over here. Adios, everybody. Take care.